One of the best skills you can learn as an angler is simple. It's to watch and wait before ever making a cast. Observing the fish, like how and where and when they're feeding, gives you a ton of information that'll help you put more fish in the net. But what if you spent the better part of a decade watching and waiting through a camera lens? What would you learn about how trout eat and how bugs act during every stage of the hatch? Well, it just so happens that we know someone who's done exactly that. And today on Untangled, he's sitting down to share what he's learned from a decade of watching fish through a camera's lens. This is Untangled, fly fishing for everyone, presented by Ventures Fly Co. Well, hey everybody, welcome to it. This is Untangled. I am your host, the fearless Spencer Durand, alongside the equally terrifying Alex Stolz.
Are we just giving ourselves random terms now?
Yeah, I'm just trying to spice it up a little bit. And we are joined in studio by the man, the myth, and the entire legend, Ryan Kelly.
The entire legend?
Yes.
The camera's only from my chest up. You can't see the entire of the legend.
Well, trust me, folks, there's a whole legend right next to me here. You might know Ryan as Green River Fly Fisher on Instagram. Back in the OG days of fly fishing Instagram, Ryan was a big deal. He's still a big deal.
I like the was.
Well, we just got done talking about how you don't do as much on Instagram anymore. So that's why I use the past tense.
Yeah.
But yeah. Ryan, in addition to being this fantastic photographer, videographer, you even had some of your fish rising shots in Mending the Line, that new fly fishing movie.
Yeah. That's been a couple of years. Fantastic movie by Josh Caldwell.
Yeah,
director Josh, as I like to refer to him, because I don't know him that well, but he's super cool to talk to.
Awesome.
Great guy, great film. Man, I was just lucky to even be a part of it. A smidgen.
I didn't know they used your footage in it. That's cool.
Yep, they used some fish rising shots from Ryan. I wouldn't say it's luck. It's because your stuff's that good. So it really is. But in addition to doing all of that stuff, Ryan is also a former guide. He guided for a better part of 20 years on the green.
Well, technically 25.
25?
Yeah.
I was trying to give you a
quarter century, and it's time to get rid of them. Well, yeah, I don't know what I'm getting rid of, but
yeah. Just trying to scale back a little bit.
The common sense is what I didn't have, so maybe I got some common sense and stopped.
Save the rotator cuffs from all the rowing.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of that. But we brought Ryan in today to talk about the photography and the video work that he's done, not just to be like, oh, look, Ryan's amazing. Go get his stuff and whatnot. That's part of it. We do want to share that. But the real thing that we want to talk about are the lessons that Ryan has learned from looking at fish and aquatic insects through a camera lens.
And 25 years of guiding.
Exactly.
That's pretty awesome.
We don't want to talk about
There's all sorts of knowledge right there in his cranium that we are going to extract and dump into your brains today. So you're welcome in advance. But no, we have a ton of great conversations with Ryan when we're out on the water. And he's always dropping these little nuggets of fish information that you don't always think about. And there's stuff that blows Alex's mind sometimes. And how long have we known each other, Ryan? Like 10 years?
Yes.
Yeah, about 10 years now?
Yeah, I was super angry, walked out of church, picked up a camera, and some weirdo was standing in the river in a snowstorm.
Yes.
And that's where that
weirdo was
technically met.
And I remember so this might surprise our longtime viewers and listeners. I used to be a little arrogant. And I remember, oh yeah, Brian, do you know who I am? I write fly fishing stories for a blog. I think I said something to that effect. So
I don't remember being that arrogant. It's just like that. But you did tell me that you did right.
Yeah, because I told everybody because I thought it made me important.
It sounded cool.
Thought it made me matter.
I was like, wow, I met this writer guy today. That's cool.
Yeah, as you could tell, he was super enthused about it.
Yeah.
Anyways. You have observed that fish prefer cripples over duns when a nice hatch is coming off.
Yeah, for sure. I'll preface this like my observations are on the Green River where I live, right? In the Flaming Gorge. So where we get massive hatches, right? Where there's like 50 blue wings in every square foot. so to speak. And so when I'm filming or photographing, it's like, how do you predict? Filming and photographing is about prediction to get the shot. Where's the focus point going to be without being overly technical about it? But it's like, so after watching for years and stuff, I'm like, 90% of the time they chose the cripple. So if I see 20 bugs in a shot and I see one cripple, focus is going right to the cripple.
And can you explain what a dun versus a cripple is for anybody that doesn't know what it is?
So a dun is, let's say this nicer. A dun is the pretty bug where everything genetically worked out, right? It's kind of like your model, supermodel almost, where all the parts are in the right places. And the wings go up straight like a sailboat with, let's say if we're talking blue wings, we got a sailboat look to it. The tails will actually have like a nice little curvature to it. It looks more like the flies that are sold to catch humans, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? It's got the pretty hackle. It's got the good hackle. It's got the good feathers. Where a cripple just comes out more like me, right? You just don't look that good. You find the one girl in the world that will put up with that. So you're looking for the insects that didn't come out right. So maybe a wing is bent, tails are curled. Maybe it doesn't even get to its feet. A lot of times cripples, you'll see them, they're kicking, their feet are actually kicking in the air instead of
they're like upside
on
down.
the water. They're completely upside down. Yep, some are head down, and all you see is two tails straight up in the air and wiggling around. There's stuff like that. So cripples are make for a lot of variety of, you can be a really bad fly tire and just call it a cripple, and it will probably work.
So all the time I spend working on my sparkle duns and getting them just right is probably wasted?
Probably. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in a lot of ways, yeah, it is.
Yeah. Maybe that's been my problem lately. I've been tying them too nice.
Yeah.
Too pretty.
There's something there that is, I would argue that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So fish prefer the cripples over the duns. I've always said it's because it looks like an easier meal to them. They see it and it can't escape the way the dun can, because the dun's got its wings, it can fly away.
Yeah.
Do you think that's the part of it, or am I off?
I don't know that that's the part of it. I don't know that they think it's going to escape faster. Because, in high humidity days, they don't get off the water very fast either. The duns don't.
They got to dry their wings off.
They've got to dry their wings off.
Yeah.
And it takes it could take 30 to 60 seconds on a cloudy day, where on a sunny day, it takes like less than 10.
Yeah.
Right. So on those cloudy days, I'll still watch fish just pass up those duns. And they'd just be like, wait, let me wait for a cripple. Or even better, they want to eat like 5 at a time.
Yeah.
So if you can get a pile of cripples or something like that, or a bunch, you're going to get even more fish attracted to that.
New fly idea, pile of cripples.
Yeah. And so
the menage-a-midge, but
the menage-a-midge, I would go at least 3. Yeah. Yeah. Probably more than no. So if you think of a pile, it's really ugly.
Yeah. And are you like army crawling up to to these rising fish? Like, walk us through how you're getting this footage and these photographs.
Note to any aspiring photographer: if you're in full camo laying on the ground, someone may step on you.
Has that happened?
They just come really close. I've scared quite a few guys where they come up they see these rising fish and I'm laying on the ground and they start walking up and I'm like, hey, I'm here.
About to jump out of their waders.
They're like, oh.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I didn't see you there. I'm
that's funny.
That's the plan. That's the idea.
How close do you usually have to get? Because for those who don't know, we'll throw some of Ryan's footage up on the screen, but it's like really close. Like, you are up in person with these fish.
So this is, I guess, my process. If we talk about my process on there, usually I'll just stand when I find a fish I want to photograph, because not all fish are good looking when they rise. Like, just the way they eat or they turn, I'm like, that's not going to be a good photograph, or that's not going to be a good video.
Interesting.
So I'm not actually just looking for any fish. It's like, okay, this fish will actually break through the surface a little farther. We'll see more of his gill plate. Like, there's more of that thought process that goes into that, if we're talking on the artistic photograph side. But I'll actually start like I can usually get like 15 feet, especially if it's an old dumb one. The older ones are a little senile, so they can you can get closer to them. Anyway, because their sight just degenerates like our human ones do. But I'll probably get like 15, 20 feet away with the long lens and get a few shots. And then I will go a little bit closer and then a little bit closer. And if it's one I really like, then I might get down on the belly crawl almost, right? Yeah.
And then
sometimes I get like me to you
Okay.
on occasion. If I can sit there long enough, and when I say long enough, it could be like half an hour. The fish often, it might spook, but it'll come back if I don't move. And it'll come back to its feeding lane and get comfortable. And if I can get a fish comfortable with me being there, it'll stay, it'll let me do a lot of stuff. As long as I don't have abrupt movements, things like that. Like, that's the hardest part is sometimes the muscles start to ache or the bones when you're sitting there that long. And it's like, oh, I got to move a little bit.
Especially when it's a snowstorm.
But yeah, I'm not laying down if it's a snowstorm.
There's some guy wearing a Cousin Eddie hat and your shot.
Oh, yeah. That one, I didn't lay down for those, but, there's... and I got a lot of mileage out of those photos of you that day.
You did. You did. They made profile pictures on my dating sites.
Nice. I didn't know
for
that.
a while.
I didn't know they made it there. They made it some cool places.
They did. They made it on. They made it on Tinder.
Wow. Okay.
So back in the day when that was what you did to find a wife.
I'm a little older than that. So
wow.
You're only.
I was never on Tinder.
2 years older than me.
Yeah.
You've also got better social skills than I do, though. You're outgoing. You're not grumpy like me and Ryan. That's why Ryan and I get along so well.
Yeah.
Because we're both
two grumpy old men.
Yeah. Ryan told me once, this is a direct quote. He said, Spencer, you're the youngest old man I know.
I always say you're an 80-year-old stuck in a 20-year-old's body.
Yeah.
Just about. Oh, so the process of getting those pictures, you're seeing all this stuff about the fish. You're watching their behavior. And you're adding all of that to what you've learned as a guide about how fish are going to act. So what do you think when you started doing the photography and the video of the fish? What was the most surprising thing you learned about their behavior? What really stood out to you that maybe you didn't know or understand completely?
Yeah, like
before?
what did you not notice from normal vision, but you did in the camera?
Yeah, I don't want to say that like fish have personalities, but they kind of do. That was one thing I noticed. Like some fish are like a good example in the summertime on the green there, we get a triple hatch where you have caddis, PMDs, and yellow sallies out at the same time. They'll like cross over during the day. So you have all three of the bugs on the water at the same time. And you could be in the same pool or same like seam, and one fish will only eat the caddis. That's all it's going to eat. It'll let everything else go by. And then you look down 3 feet, and the next fish is only eating PMDs. And then you look down, and the next fish is only eating the whatever one I didn't say, sallies.
Yeah, the sallies.
Only eating sallies. And they're just like crazy picky about it. And then you have a lot of fish that rule their roost. So they'll actually, this is how I've got a lot of photos, is they have a very predictable behavior pattern. So one of my strengths in life is just recognizing pattern behavior. And so these fish will have very patterned behavior. So they'll eat, like, they'll work their way up a seam and eat. And then they eat, like, let's say it's every 5 seconds. They'll eat, and then they eat, and then they eat, and then they swim down to the bottom. And then they just keep doing it.
Same thing.
And they'll do it like 50 times. And you're like, oh. Like, so from an angling standpoint, I can predict where that fish is going to be, when it's going to be. It makes them overly easy to catch sometimes, which can be kind of boring. But from a photography standpoint, it's really cool. It's like, all right, I know he's going to rise. And so I can set up and be like, all right, what's the best lighting angle for this rise pattern to get the coolest shot? So that part's really interesting. So, yeah, I don't know if it's personality, but I don't know if you've ever raised a picky toddler. It's kind of similar. You start to predict what they will and won't eat based on like texture or this and that. It's like,
we're not too far away from that stage.
We can figure that out. Nope. So I think that was the most surprising, is sometimes I just think fish, you think, oh, fish just eat. And that's not necessarily how it is. They're way more picky. I don't know if picky's the right word, but pattern.
Selective.
They're more slow, just pattern behavior. It's more the pattern, I think, that was surprised me how patterned behavior they were. Yeah, I'll give you another funny example.
Yeah.
I caught this really big rainbow, actually for a film project that I was working on, and I went home and I didn't like the shot. So I just went back the next day and caught him again because he did the exact same pattern behavior. So I went back, got his shot, got a way better shot on the second one. That one made it into the film. Yeah.
That's awesome.
How many people you hear talk about fish is boring to catch, like Ryan did? Right?
I mean, it's
when you've caught
just
that many.
experience.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's just funny, right? Because I don't think
Well,
you might say that whitefish are boring to catch at this point.
Yeah.
But because you hate whiteys so much.
I get
but
that. Sometimes, like fishing the same dry dropper rig on the same river every single day for the whole summer, that would bore me to death.
yeah, that would get
But
old pretty
There
quick.
are times when I go out of my comfort zone or I find a fish that's a little bit bigger than the other fish that I've caught that gets me excited. What was the last fish you were excited about? I'm sure there was one.
Wow, I don't know. I can tell you the last one I wasn't excited about, which I should have been excited about, but
All right, tell us that one. And
Yeah.
then while you're telling that one, think of
the other one.
the other
So this is just a couple weeks ago, I think it was. It was right about Christmas. Well, this is coming out later, so sorry. It was a few months ago at this point. Because we're filming this in the wintertime. But yeah, I was fishing for lake trout out on Flame Gorge, and I caught like a 25-inch tank of a rainbow trout. And I was so disappointed because I thought I hooked into a good laker.
Oh, like on the fly.
On the fly.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the fly. And I was like, oh, I got it up. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And my friend's like, are you kidding me? Look at the size of this rainbow. Most people would die for this thing. Like, I'm like, oh, yeah, you got a point. That is a pretty cool fish.
Yeah.
But because my thought process and expectation was for a different species, I was suddenly disappointed when I probably should have been excited.
I love it.
So I would say, I don't know if I can think of a specific fish I was excited
And maybe not
about.
one you caught. Like, was someone in your boat that caught a sweet fish that you were excited about?
I'll get excited for other people for sure.
Yeah.
But usually I'll get excited over something that's unusual.
Yeah.
I would say is the way I usually, like it's unusually pretty or it's like a species I didn't expect in a certain place. I don't know, something like that could get me more excited. I will get excited. I would say, okay, maybe the last one I was fishing with my friend Chris, and he never caught a fish on a mouse before. And so late in the fall, I was like, hey, you know what? This is a really good situation to mouse in. And he's like, real, he's kind of like, really? I was like, yeah, dude, try it. And he ended up catching several rainbows over 20 inches on a mouse.
That's so
for
cool.
his first mousing experience. And he didn't really tell me it was his first mouse until he actually landed one. And then he's like, that's my first one ever on a mouse. So that was cool. I was really excited for him. That made it more exciting for me too, because I was like, cool, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. So what?
Oh, do you mind? Oh, thank you. Before we move on, I want to back up to you talking about predictable fish and how they rise predictably, like every 5 seconds, and you say that makes it easy to catch from an angling perspective. Mm-hmm. I have never really sat there to time a fish's rise before. Mm-hmm. I've never really, that's just something I've never done because I haven't found myself in a situation where I felt like I needed to. So what situation would that be helpful to know, oh, this fish is going to rise every 5 seconds moving up this line? Like if he's just moving up that line, wouldn't you just throw a fly, 10 feet in front of where he last rose and hope? Or is there really a benefit to doing it more, being more deliberate about using that information?
Well, a little bit of it's whatever your goal is.
Yeah.
I sense. So if you think about this, and I don't want this to come across as like arrogant or something like that, but most of the time I'm by myself. And so I put the camera out where I think the fish is going to rise in focus. And then you got to realize I have one chance to be that accurate, to get that shot. So you think of that skill level. Like the cast has to be land in, your focal point is like a 12 by 12 inch box. So how do I cast it into that box, get it to drift into that box at the time that fish rises?
Yeah.
Like that's a level of skill that's pretty outrageous when you think about it.
Oh, 100%.
That's pretty wild. That's why I said I don't want to sound arrogant again about it, but that's the skill level I'm that I'm working with to get some of these shots. And that's where, for me, because that's my goal, then it's super important.
I think
does that make sense?
Aim small, miss small.
Yeah.
You're very, very, very small target.
And I've missed a lot of shots where most anglers would be like, wow, that was amazing, because my fly was 2 inches off and the fish turned its head.
To eat
and
it.
now it's suddenly slightly out of focus.
Yeah.
To eat. So I still caught the fish, but I'm like, well, that didn't make me any money. My wife's not going to be happy, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, I need to make that perfect cast.
Yeah.
And if the elements are not conducive, like wind or whatever, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right. So
No,
so I think, but as for your average angler, too, though, like, is your goal to catch a lot of fish? Then take a few minutes and recognize the pattern, because you could drift over it, and you guys know this experience. You fished a lot. You're like, oh, I got the wrong fly on. Well, you might not have the wrong fly on. You just have the wrong timing.
Yeah.
Because if your timing's off, he's not going to eat it. So if I'm filming, there's a bunch of cripples come down. They're not eating every single cripple. Right? If it's in the wrong timing, they're not going to eat it. So it's got to be the cripple that's in their timing. And they might even pick out a random dun if it's in their timing.
Yeah.
They might be like, oh, I feel like rising on this one. I'll just eat whatever's closest in that case.
That reminds me. Sorry, Alex, did you?
How do you time that cast? So let's say the fish is
practice.
Yeah,
practice. Yeah.
So is it you land your fly ahead of it right before it rises? Is it like
okay? So
5 seconds before?
All right. Yeah, we're getting technical now, right? We're making some people have headaches right now. We're gonna get that techie. So if a fish is rising that consistent, that with that many hatches, they're not looking more than like 6 inches in front of them.
Yeah.
So you're not gonna get a 20-foot cast in there, like drift into cast drift. You're not gonna make this long drift into them. So you're gonna get the timing, and then I'm gonna put it like 3 feet in front of, or 1 foot in front of that fish, even if you can make it a good cast.
Yeah.
So that makes for even the coolest shots. If we're talking about videography, can I land it in the shot and just have it drift like 4 inches and have them eat it?
Yeah.
That, for the human aesthetics, is the very best shot on video. Does that answer the question?
That does.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, that's what you just, if you can get that rhythm, like, I'm sorry for people who can't dance. It's going to be a little harder for you, right? Like, if you can dance, then you've got a better shot. If you can feel that rhythm, and can you feel the rhythms of the fish? And I know I'm probably getting in the weeds for most people right there, but
no, I think it's good.
Interesting.
And to me, that's a huge part of why I fly fish, is to feel the connection of the rhythm of the world, of nature, and all that stuff. Like, catching fish is fine. That's a part of it, and I enjoy catching fish more than I think I do, even though sometimes I'm like, I'm bored, but I'm like, I still want to catch another one, so I must like it. Yeah. Right? I'm like, my actions are telling me that I do like it, so, or at least my dopamine is saying I'm addicted to this, so please do it again. It's somewhere in there.
That just reminded me. Do you remember? I think it was right after I moved up to where I'm at now.
Yeah.
You, me, and Berkeley were on the river one afternoon. And you remember that little cutthroat that was tucked in that tight eddy?
Yes.
And I could not catch. How long did I spend casting to him?
It was probably at half an hour, yeah.
It felt longer than a half an hour, but he was rising consistently. But I could not ever get him to eat my friggin' fly, probably because I didn't have the timing down. Because it was just something that I've always written that off as like, oh, it's too technical. I don't need to worry about it. But I say all the time, I don't know everything.
Not in 2026, man.
Yeah, apparently not.
New leaf.
Yeah.
So, sometimes in a situation like that, the fish might have a blind eye. So you just have to make sure you cast on the other side of it.
We actually had someone in our school group the other day that shared a story. They made a post, and they were casting the same fish for like 20 minutes, changing fly. And then his brother or someone came around and noticed that he was blind in one eye or something, or maybe it was after he caught it. But he ends up catching the fish, casting it on the other side of the fish, and he got it in, and one of the eyes was gone on the fish. And he's like, well, there you go.
It could be an older fish that has like cataracts too.
Yeah.
Something like that. I have a great rising shot where a fish, you can see the cloudiness in its eye.
I think I've seen
Really?
that one.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
I'm like, yeah, you got to cast the left side of that one. You ain't getting him on the right side. So we had a cutthroat for a long time on the green. I always called One-Eyed Willie.
Yeah.
Yeah, you couldn't catch him if you cast it on the wrong side.
Oh, that's fun.
And I'm like, just cast. Someone casts it, and he's like, it won't eat him. I just cast on his other side. He'll eat it. He can't see us on this side.
Oh, you got the next one, or?
So do fish just stay there? Like you catch the same fish over and over and over? Because I think that might be a misconception for some anglers. It's like you catch them and then they go to a different part of the river.
Yeah, it depends. I mean, that's a terrible answer, but a lot of fish do stay
Relatively close.
relatively in the same spot. Like their behavior patterns stay the same a lot.
Because they'll move around a lot for spawning, and with the river flows, they'll move. But during the height of the summer, they're really just, you find they're hanging out.
They'll be really consistent.
Do you find them coming back like the next year? Like if you see this one fish?
No, usually it's a year-to-year thing, I would say, more often than not. There is occasions where there's a unique fish that might come back year to year. I mean, we have an outfitter out there in Flaming Gorge called Old Mo, and Old Mo's a fish. Like, that outfitter was named after a very specific fish, so.
That's cool.
You know, some fish get a reputation.
Yeah.
Usually not because they're smart. But it could be. It could be a big one that we see all the time, and it's like,
we
this one just won't eat it. Yeah. So then
Cool.
That definitely happens.
So let's talk about fly design for a minute and the artistic side of fly tying and fly design, because that's something else that we've talked a lot about sitting in your boat.
So
over the years, you've sat there and you've watched all these hundreds of thousands of flies through your camera lens. How's that changed how you tie your own flies?
So yeah, it's definitely changed how I've tied flies. Like and there's a couple different perspectives on it. Sometimes the stage, like as you get older, you want a bigger fly. Well, the reality is if you fish or tie a fly that's like in the shuck removal, that's probably not the right way to say it. When it's getting rid of its shuck, I can double the size of my fly now because that shuck is going to be way out there. And I've got video of that where they're actually shaking it off, and it's like 2/3 of the way down their, down their body.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now suddenly my size 18 is a size 14. So I can get away with a much bigger fly.
Yeah.
So there's that aspect of it. I had somebody argue with me once online for whatever reason. I don't really get into the argument part of that, but they're like, "Oh, that's too big. That you got to make it smaller." I'm like, "That's funny. It catches fish every time I use it."
Yeah.
And I've also got video proof to show why it. But I didn't say that in there.
Yeah.
Usually I'm just like, okay, that's cool. This one works for me, but I hope you find something that works for you. Try to be a little more diplomatic about it. But
there was one day we were fishing and Spencer and I were in the boat and we were sitting there and we're like, yeah, you got to put on your 7X tippet and your size 18, 22 Matt's midge. And you just looked over at us and you're like, tie on a freaking size 14 Griffiths net.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we did, and we caught fish.
Yeah. I think that was one of the first things Ryan said to me. He asked me what fly I was using, and I had like on some 18 something or other, and he pulls out a size 12 Prince nymph, says use this, and then I caught a 20-inch rainbow.
I do remember that. Actually, the day we met, you were like, I've got these tiny little flies on my mom. I'll put on a bigger fly. Yeah. That was the first thing I said. You're like, I can see this big rainbow. I can't catch them. Just put on a bigger fly, man.
And I did, and I caught a fish. Caught a big rainbow. It was awesome.
Like, it's such a misnomer, I think, in my mind. And I would say I have a little bit of experience on the green there. Like I almost never fish below 4X, occasionally 5X.
Yep.
Like I remember I went to a fly shop not far from where we are here, and I was like, "Do you guys still have size 20 hooks with the big eyes on them?" And they're like, "Yeah, it's right here." I'm like, "Yeah, I need a 20 that I can put 4X through." And they're looking at me like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "Yeah." But think about it this way. This is another take on. This is a little over techie again too. If I'm fishing an insect, like let's take a blue wing, they don't swim vertically. So I don't want the fly to drop vertically. So if I use a heavier tippet that has a slower sink rate, it will actually keep that fly more horizontal. So, and if they can't see fluorocarbon anyway, like we say,
we assume,
then I'm going to use a thicker diameter in many situations so that it doesn't sink very fast, so that it'll keep that fly horizontal.
Yeah, because for those who don't know, if you use a thinner diameter tippet, it will cut through the water faster. It'll sink faster.
So if let's say you're using a midge pupa actually does go vertical, then scaling down, like on a dry dropper, scaling down a little bit does help because then it will make the vertical presentation. So
that's cool.
So look at these things that we're learning today. It's great.
but
So here at VFC, we have our right fly formula, which is the perfect fly is the right size, right shape, right color.
okay.
Of size, shape, and color, what do you think is the most important?
Shape. Yep. And then always go bigger than you think you should to start with. So the natural inclination, everyone's like, oh, he won't eat it. I'm going to go smaller. Right?
Yeah, we talk about that all the time.
Yeah. So if, maybe we can even pull some video for you for this, but like and man, it's hard to find. I don't know if I'll find. But I was scrolling through some video today, and there's a shot, and there's like 1,000 midges on the water, and then there's this one super plump fat one. It's like way bigger. I'm like, that one's gonna get eaten, right? Or I used to pump stomachs a lot. I'm like, I always just chose. I didn't choose the one that had the most food in it, like the most food items. Like if there was like 1,000 scuds in there or something, I'm like, which is the biggest food item in the stomach? And that was always the first choice.
Interesting.
Because they'll move more for a big fish or a big fly.
Yep.
Than they will. What was my original shape, right?
Yeah.
I would say shape. Actually, and we go back to being artistic with fly tying.
Yeah.
The shape is more important than how it looks to the fish than it does to us. Like, so how does it look in the water? How does it move in the water? That's the shape you're looking for. So I like to think of myself more as an abstract fly tyer, which in the fly tying world, people are like, you suck, right?
Yeah.
And then they're like, I don't know why you catch so many fish. You know, I always thought that's the funniest thing. Like, because I tie flies for fish. You tie flies for adoration or something. I don't know what you tie for, apparently. But if that makes sense. Like,
it's like that cricket we used last time we were with you.
Yeah.
That had to have been the most unimpressive cricket pattern I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Because they're all usually pretty complex. And that was about as simple as it gets. And how many fish did I catch on that fly?
Yeah, you outfished me 5-1.
That was the only time that's ever happened when I've outfished Alex on video at any rate.
So,
it was crazy.
And I have the huge advantage of, guiding for thousands of days where I could refine flies like that. Yeah. Where I would tie them more complicated and be like, oh, that doesn't catch as much as this one. And I would just play this game of, maybe clients wouldn't love to know this, but I'd put on a slightly different variation than the other one and see which one caught the most.
Well,
and then
A/B test?
You A/B test like every single day. And then until you narrow it down to like, this is the cricket.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like I A/B tested every single day. I still do a lot.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Now follow up to that. Shape is most important for you. Is that universal or just to the green? Where would you?
Well, I've spent most of my time on the green. I've been fortunate to travel the world a little bit.
Yep.
And I've actually found in a lot of places, if I take the principles I learned from the green, because it's a highly pressured fish area, I think. Like if I went somewhere that's not highly pressured, then the fishing was super easy.
Yeah.
But because I think, you already honed your skills on fish that are difficult to catch.
See thousands of flies a day.
I will say in every river that I've ever been to, you got to figure out that river a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, because they will change. Like, I think maybe it was on one of your podcasts or masterclass I was watching, going through. I'm like, I tied a different fly because the shade was a little bit different.
Yep.
Yeah, that's absolutely true with picky fish, right?
Yeah.
And there's so much more to it. So, man, you guys are getting into my weirdness here, but like the reflection of the bottom of the river is going to change the color of the fly.
Yep.
Right? So you could pick up a bug and look at it and be like, oh, it's this shade of green. Well, after it reflects off the bottom, it may not be that shade of green again.
Yeah.
So if you're getting to be techie tying, then you got to have the A/B testing to be like, okay, what reflection am I actually getting off of this? I have a really great picture of a fly. He's actually of a blueing on a snowflake, but the orange rock of the green is reflecting off, and you would say that bluing is actually orange, but it's not. But in the photograph, it
looks
comes out totally orange.
So I take from this, we need to tie some orange midges now for our fly collections. I think
We'll
we're going to need them.
on it.
Okay. Well, thanks, Alex.
What I get out of this is we need to have Ryan tie every single one of the patterns in our fly collections, because these are the ones they've been A/B tested thousands of times.
They're not going to look as great, but they're going to catch a crap ton of fish. You're welcome.
So I'm notoriously or infamous, I don't know, whatever negative superlative. That's a funny way to say it. A negative superlative.
Yep.
You want to give me from other guides of not giving up those secrets.
Yeah. Oh, I know. It was.
I'm like, I'll give you a ton of information about a lot of stuff, but there's a handful of stuff I'm like, this is for me.
Yeah. Oh, I remember. I tried to take one of your flies once and I got reprimanded. So didn't want to reproduce outside of your own vice.
There's just a handful that I keep to myself. But
I just thought it was funny.
You know Jake Bledgey.
Yep.
My friend Jake. Shout out to Jake. If you're watching Jake, you're not, but whatever. If you are, you might. Who knows? Jake's all over the place.
Yep.
Jake used to watch me tie flies
Yeah.
because he lived in my basement for a while. And it would drive him crazy.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
It was so funny.
So, sorry. Go ahead, Alex.
Go.
Oh, so let's talk a little bit about artwork too, because we talked about the artistic side of fly design, and then a lot of the videos you get, I would consider art of a certain sense, just because they're so pretty, so unique, so different. But you do a lot of photography as well. What goes into deciding like how you want to set that up? Like what's something you think is going to be good versus what's something you think someone might actually want to buy? Because that's always...
Yeah, those are two different things. If I like it, it probably doesn't sell. I've learned that over the years.
Well, we've had that conversation with just about everything, right? The stuff we like to make isn't necessarily what does the best.
Yeah, if it gets too artsy, that's just my phrase I use it, then you narrow your audience down to the other artsy guys.
Yeah.
So like if I post something that's really artsy, a bunch of artists will be like, "Oh, this is so cool." But those artists are trying to make, we're art people, we're usually poor. So we're not buying other people's art very often. So that's not really our market. You know? And so, so when you're taking shots, and because I work a lot on social media and things like that, I often do multiple shots with the same fish. Like I'm like, okay, this is for this frame size, right? This is going to be a vert shot. This is going to be a wide shot. And then this is going to be a photography shot. This is going to go on my wall shot.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you have to think it through. But it comes back to, I mentioned earlier, it's like, okay, does this fish look pretty in the shot?
Yeah.
Like the way that he's eating, is this going to be enticing to the viewer?
Yeah.
And then what is the lighting doing? So there's certain times I'm going to go lighting. There's certain settings I'm going to use to get a very different artistic look.
Yeah.
That's been a lot by trial and error. But some of my coolest shots that I think are coolest, and actually some that have sold really well, are ways that I never would have imagined I would have ever taken a photo. So
yeah.
Do you have an example of one?
And some of it's technology. Yeah, we'll throw up a couple examples on screen or something like that are super unique.
Be great. And you're still selling artwork right now too, right?
I've never really sold it. Occasionally I put it up on my story and it usually sells really fast, which tells me I should probably do it more often.
Yeah, you probably should.
Yeah. Everyone tells me that, and my wife really tells me that.
Shout out to Amber for being a good cheerleader.
Yeah, I don't want to make her sound like she's like money hungry, because she's not. She's not like that, but
not at all.
But she's like, we do got to eat and pay bills, which we always do. But
no, she's amazing. She's a great cheerleader for your stuff, man. She's awesome.
She is amazing.
Yeah. We'll throw up some art shots. We'll throw up a link or something so people can go check out what you've got. Anything else on the art side of things before we move on, Alex? We good? Okay. Yeah. Well, let's talk about then. I think this is funny too, because I just remember being a young, wide-eyed little fisher pup.
A fisher pup?
Yeah.
Well, we keep pups.
We do.
We kill them. Shout out to Flaming Gorge. Please keep all the pups you catch.
All the pup lake trout, yes.
Keep the pup lake trout.
You blasted quite a few of my misconceptions, especially about tippet size and fly size when we met and started fishing together a bunch. But with everything from the guiding, everything from the photography side, What do you think is the number one misconception a lot of anglers have about trout behavior? Like, what do we assume trout are doing that they're actually not doing?
Oh, man. Well, I would say the number one people that I hear people say to me is that trout eat when they're hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't agree with that. Now, there are cases, there are rivers that lack food.
Yes.
And they eat when they're hungry. They eat more out of habit and pattern than they ever do out of hunger.
So that's why the
like
fishing
that.
can consistently be good all day long because they're just going to town.
It could be, or like certain fish. Again, I'll use the green because that's what I'm familiar with. Like the fish you fish for in the morning aren't the same fish you fish for in the evening. And you can be fishing the exact same water. So those morning fish will come, do their thing, they eat, and they leave. And then those good feeding lanes, a different fish will move in there. So if I float, does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the fish that I'm catching at 6 o'clock in the evening are not the fish I'm catching at 6 o'clock in the morning.
But that's not because they're hungry at that time.
No,
of
it's
day?
just it's their pattern behavior.
That's just
So
what they do.
you have the fish that are like, we're morning, just like people think of people.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not a morning person. Someone's all, I'm a morning person. Like, I'm at the gym at 5. I'm like, I'm at the gym at 5:45 in the evening.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Not 5 in the morning. Yeah, there's a lot of fish that are in that same category. And another misconception, that fish just keep growing bigger. That's totally a misconception. Like fish grow to their size, just like you would as a human. You might get to 16 inches as a fish and just stay there your whole life. And the ones that just keep getting bigger, 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 those are our shacks of the world, right?
Yeah.
That's our Yao Ming, our Shaquille O'Neal's, those are, you don't have a ton of those that are going to grow that size. There are certain food situations where the whole size class is going to grow bigger. Like you might think of like a Jurassic Lake, for example, with all those shrimp scuds that are down there. Or locally where I live, up on Diamond Mountain, has 1 million shrimp in those lakes. And those fish, pretty much the whole size class will get big, but not necessarily. And it can be between subspecies of rainbows. Like if you have a Kamloops rainbow in there, they would grow to almost 30 inches. If you have an Eagle Lake strain, they're probably going to top out at like 24 inches.
Yep.
And it's the same food source. But if you throw a cutthroat in there, in the same lake that's producing these giant rainbows, they don't grow very big. They may never hit 20 inches.
Because a lot of those cutthroat don't have that in their life history. They were just never that big.
Or they're just not shrimp eaters.
Yep.
Like their mind doesn't think, I'm going to eat shrimp all the time and just grow really big. They're like, where's my ant floating on the surface here? Or does that make sense? They're more geared toward, or I'll take the occasional leech, where these rainbows are like, shrimp for everyone, right?
Yeah.
They're at the buffet and they're just like plowing through, eating as many as they can, growing super big, super fast.
And this doesn't 100% relate, but it just jogged up something I thought was interesting. They planted golden trout in the Wind River Mountains like 60, 70 years ago now, maybe even longer, I think. And over the years, they've continued to plant those fish. They've raised them in hatcheries, planted them there. That's where the biggest golden trout in the world tend to grow is in the Wind River Mountains in Wyoming. And one thing that they've actually done some studies on these fish. The fish in these lakes in the Wind River Mountains have, in just a short time frame, 60 years, they've adapted to filter even more plankton and microscopic food organisms out of the water versus the original strain of them from California in the Kern River. So it's just another interesting thing with how, like we talk about how fish adapt and how they behave. Like these ones have they've grown more gill rakers so they can filter more food out of the water versus the ones that just live in the streams back home. So again, it was nothing that super relates, but it came to mind. I thought I might as well share that. I got nerdy things to share too, folks.
But it's important to note too, not all fish will do an adaptation like that. Some just don't take.
Yeah.
Right. So they'll try a fish in a certain location and it'll just flop.
Yeah.
And flop in terms of being a healthy population of fish.
Like they try to put Colorado River cutthroat in the green.
Oh, yeah.
Which is what should be in there based on the drainage, right? It should be Colorado rivers.
Okay, based on the drainage, but not based on history. Yeah. So historically, they've never were in the big river.
Yeah.
They would just be in the tributaries. Yeah. So once it's the same with the brook trout. You get a brook trout in the river, it's going to get eaten fast.
Yep.
Right. So
and that's why the Yellowstones do so well, because the Yellowstones have
that history of them.
Snake River.
Snake Rivers, they've had those in there and they did well as
Yep.
also. But yeah, when they put those Colorado cutthroat in, it was fun to watch because it was like bait ball. They get these
they're
bait
giant
balls.
bait
It was
balls.
like being in the ocean for a minute.
Yep.
You watch these brown trout just come in and just crush them.
Yeah,
it was
just
really
T-bone
fun.
them.
I wish I had a drone on a couple of those days over the top of them, where I'm just like, that's really fun to watch.
Yeah.
Speaking of those brown trout just smacking those baby fish, you're a big streamer guy. What appeals to you about fly fishing with streamers as opposed to other types? Because I know I've nymphed in your boat and you give me a little grief for it, which I don't blame you because streamer fishing is a freaking blast. But
I love it.
What appeals to you about streamer fishing?
So, well, on the green, the visual plus the tug, and that's an unusual situation. Most places you can't sight fish or streamers necessarily. So that part's really cool. But yeah, I like the feel. I love the tug aspect more than the visual aspect. I don't know if that's because I sat in a boat and fished dry flies for so many years and watched dry fly eat after dry fly eat and just kind of got bored or desensitized to it,
And you'll say that you'll call me when the blue wings hatch. You'll say, "Oh, they're going," and then I'll talk to you a week into the blue wing hatch. You're like, "Yeah, I'm bored of it."
Yeah, and that's true. So I'm the wrong person to ask if I'm excited about dry flies at this point because I do believe the green is maybe one of the, if not the best dry fly river in the world because you can fish dry flies pretty much every day of the year for the most part. December, early January are probably the toughest time, but if you float a chubby Chernobyl all day in December, you're going to catch half a dozen fish. So
challenge accepted. Sounds like a new video, huh? Chubby eats in December.
They will. They totally will. The dumbest one I ever did is I called it the, I'm terrible name, ladybug. Yeah, the Chernobyl ladybug.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm like, these fish will eat a floating egg, right during spawn, post spawn, right there. So I tried to Chernobyl with a, I don't know if you know these are. So my friend Brian Westover that did the thingamabobbers.
Yes.
We did one. He did one called Thingamabodies. Never really became popular, but it was translucent. So you color whatever you wanted. So I just colored the butt, the color of an egg on the back of the Chernobyl. They'd eat that thing. Like I said, like half a dozen times every time.
Oh, that's awesome.
Talk about just dumb stuff to keep yourself from being bored. But Chernobyl ladybug.
But the streamers don't bore you.
No, they still bore me.
Oh, okay.
They bore me the least. But I'm sorry, audience. I don't mean to come off like, oh, I fish so much in my life, I'm bored all the time. Because I still go out every day. So, so apparently I still like it. Like I said.
What is your favorite part about fly fishing then? Like, why are you still going out?
I mentioned this in the other video. Yeah. You post the fish don't talk.
As you're here on a podcast.
I'm like, and no words come out. It was amazing. The mouth moves, but you don't have to hear it.
So just being out there in the quiet.
I just love being out there.
Yeah.
Like I'm past the point. I went through stages where I just want to catch a ton, like every angler seems to, where I caught a whole bunch. And then I went through a stage where I caught a whole bunch of big ones. And then now I'm at a stage where I'm like, I just want to be outside and I don't care.
Yeah.
If it's big, small. Sometimes I give myself little challenges. Like the other one, like I want to catch this lake trout on a fly, and then I was disappointed when it was a rainbow or something. But,
when it's a 25-inch rainbow trout.
Just something to make it interesting. Same with photography. Like I'll go out and be like, this is the shot I want to get today. Try to make it exciting.
Yeah.
Because even viewers get bored with my stuff. You can see it from Instagram. If you post the same thing too many times, even if it's really cool, they're like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Which
is kind of sad. A sad commentary on our society.
It's just how it is. I mean, one thing I've observed a lot in anglers over the years, especially during big dry fly hatches.
Yeah.
Where they're catching a fish like every 5 minutes. And then you go 10 minutes without one and they start whining. And I'm like, I'll be like, turn around. See that rock behind us? That's where you caught your last fish. We have floated 100 yards.
Yeah.
Right. And they're like, really? I'm like, yeah, because you just got in that mindset of it. Right. We get that way with everything, like money in life or, I don't know, pick a vice or whatever. You just want more and more and more is really normal human nature. And just take a minute to be present and enjoy the surroundings as much as the catching.
I feel like I have to force myself to do that sometimes when I'm out fishing. Just like pause, take a moment, like look around. Sometimes I get so focused on the fly and like catching the fish that I don't actually look up and I'm like, oh, wow, this is an absolutely gorgeous place that I'm in. It's quiet. It's beautiful. There's a bald eagle in the tree. Like,
yeah, absolutely. Right.
Yeah.
Or like one of my, quirky sayings, a lot of times I'll say to, guys that like bobbers, I think that bobber's getting burned in the back of your retina at this point. Let's take a minute to look around. Look up. You don't want to close your eyes and see an orange ball when you go to sleep tonight.
Is that what you see, Alex? Do you count bobbers instead of sheep?
No, I use white ones.
Or a white ball.
Because the fish can tell. If there's an orange bobber, you're not going to catch as many fish.
Hey, that's true. It depends on time of year. If you use an orange bobber during spawning season, you'll catch. They won't care. But during height of like late summer, when on high pressure, you want to fish a white versus like an orange. They won't eat it if they see the orange bobber.
Because they've seen it so many times.
They know what that is.
That makes sense.
A lot of them.
Yeah, and just to put that into context too, we're talking about.
I A/B tested that too. Sorry.
No, I love it. But just to put that even into context for people, like the green gets. I mean, how many guide boats can float the green on a day?
There's about 75 guides.
So 75 guide boats can go down a day.
Oh, you rarely would get everybody out there on the same day.
Yeah.
But you will have 50 to 60. Absolutely.
Yeah. So 50 to 60 guide boats plus at least that many private boats, plus probably double that in weight anglers on the best days.
During busy times. Yeah. A lot of times we don't have a lot of weight anglers out there, but there are times when there is a lot.
You end up these fish end up seeing thousands of flies.
Yeah.
So when we put it in context of they don't want to eat it if they see the orange bobber going over them on your local stream, that's probably not going to be as true as it is at a place like the Green, where the pressure is unreal sometimes there. Just want to add some clarification for the viewers.
Smart.
Yeah. Well, I think I've got one more question. Do you got one more, Alex? You got a few more things?
No.
Okay.
Well, end her off.
I think my last thing, because you've watched fish for a while now.
Yeah.
What is the number one reason a fish is going to say no to a fly? A fake fly, not the real fly. Yeah.
Because I'm like, just so everyone's aware, they refuse real ones all the time. So don't beat yourself up.
Yeah.
Like we talked about, if it's out of rhythm or that. So,
or if it's the dun instead of the cripple, they'll just not eat it.
So I would say the number one reason they don't eat your fake flies is for that particular fish. Again, like I was saying, different fish kind of have different personalities. You're not presenting the fly in a way that matches that fish's personality. So I would still say dead drifting is overrated.
Mm-hmm.
There are fish that dead drifting is the way to catch that fish. But if you dead drift over a fish and he doesn't give a crap, can I say that on there? Crap. That's not too bad of a word. No. We're a family-friendly show here. And he doesn't care. Try twitching it. Try moving it. Maybe instead of just changing your fly, change your tactic. Be like, I'm going to throw a streamer at this one instead of a nymph.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what he's waiting for. So that's absolutely true. Like I've watched that over and over where I'm like, these fish want it moving. Like I was fishing a small stream near my house. If I dead drifted every fish in that stream, I don't know why. It's like they sent out an email or something to everybody. Like we don't eat dead drift flies. They wouldn't touch it. But the moment I started skating, they'd eat it every time. Right? And so if you've been drilled in, dead drift. Same with blue wings, by the way. I'll say that because I've spent so much time in blue wing hatches in my life on the green. Those fish don't want dead drifting blue wings most of the time.
They want a little action.
They want they want a subtle swing. They don't want a lot of action. They want to see that swing where I call it the reverse swing. So if you put your bobber on a seam and your flies land in the slow water, it'll reverse swing it. So it will actually rise them to the surface. It's that they kind of rise on an arc. They eat it almost every time. If you can do that, that's a techie way. It's a really techie maneuver. But if you can do that, they'll eat it almost every time. Like they rarely will refuse that. Where if you dead drift it across their face, they're like, yeah.
Well, I know what we're doing this April. We're learning how to do that.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Awesome.
But That's kind of a techie answer.
No, it's good. It's important to remember.
I'm a nerd that way.
So it's presentation then.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
It is, but not getting set in your ways presentation wise. That's what I would say. Because I would say most anglers, you guys have mentioned this, I changed flies like 20 times.
Yeah.
I'm like, did you change tactics?
And that's something
that would be the next question, right?
That's something I've had to force myself to do more of, especially lately, is not just changing flies, but changing. It's just even on the creek by my house. I mean, I'm one of 5 or 6 people I know who like consistently fish that creek. It just doesn't get fished, but the fish are still really picky for whatever reason. Even though they don't see a lot of pressure, they still want it a certain way there.
Yeah.
And I've found that the more I just tweak how it's presented to them, and less the flies. Like I think it was last summer I was going up there and I fished the same Chubby and Pat's rubber leg dropper. And I know it was the same one all summer long because I just cut it off when I was done and stuck it in my truck. So I didn't have to retie it. And that one, all I really had to do was just make sure I got it to sink long enough. And it was pretty quick, pretty immediate action on the dropper.
Like, yeah, I would say this too, like, especially from a streamer, someone who fishes streamers all the time, it's rarely the fly.
Yeah.
It's your rhythm and movement and depth of the streamer. Like most people, they'll just sit there and change colors and they still cast right at the bank and strip really, really fast. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Like they may not want it that way.
But how much of a impact does the size and construction of the streamer make? Like take a dungeon from Kelly Gallup versus a Clouser minnow, right? The Clouser is very thin. It's not going to make as much noise underwater. The dungeon is going to make a lot of noise. Does that matter?
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But again, it comes back to what's the fish behavior pattern?
Yeah.
Again, it comes back, I swear they're on the internet or something because it's like all the fish, not all of them, but a lot of fish will behave the same way in a certain day. So let's say they want a faster sink rate. Well, our more slender Clouser is going to be our choice, right? I might even go down tippet wise just a little bit, let it drop a little bit faster. And so you're getting that move. It's just cutting through the water faster. Some days that's the absolute ticket. And some days they don't want to do that. Some days they want it more suspended and more of a horizontal presentation. And that's where you size up the tippet.
Yeah.
I'm going 0x. I'm getting more. I'm going to use a fly that's bulkier in the tying, like the example you just put out there so that it stays horizontal and you can actually kind of suspend it. So like I was fishing last week and they wanted it not moving almost. So if we could get a strip, and then just get that fly to just kind of hover, so not too heavy where it would drop head down and just stay horizontal, they would T-bone it in that moment. And almost every fish hit it on the T-bone. In fact, we missed a ton because you didn't have really a tight line at that point.
Yeah.
And you'd see them hit it and move it like 3 feet, and then they let it go. It was super fun to watch, but it was super frustrating because our hook rate was super low.
Yeah.
But it's like, but they're killing, but they were, the opportunities made up for the lack of hookups.
And so the behavior of the fish can change. That's what we've talked about. Do you notice it on a day-to-day basis?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
It's not like week to week or month to month.
No.
It's day to day.
It could be it could be hour to hour in some cases. It can be light to light. Think of it that way. Are we in the shadows versus the sunlight? So in the shadows, like at this time of year, when we're recording this in the winter, when it's cold, the fish warming up in the sun will behave differently than the ones that are hanging in the shadows.
Yeah.
That's so interesting because sometimes I will have a lights out day, right? And then I go the next day and it just shuts off and it drives me insane. But that also, the other side, that's kind of what makes fly fishing fun, right?
Yeah.
It's new challenge every day. So,
but you guys haven't had those experiences because your kids are so young. It's like raising a teenager at that point. Like what worked yesterday is not working tomorrow because the hormones are raging, right?
Yeah.
And that changes everything. It's kind of like weather patterns, different things like that will affect the fish's energy and behavior. Like if it's a really cold morning, usually you catch the little rainbows first. I'm like, they just must have the higher metabolism. Like you come out and they're like, oh, we're happy, we'll catch them. It's like, maybe we'll catch a real fish today. I don't know. Right? But these little guys are having the time of their life out here. Because the big guys are away, the little guys get to play.
Yeah.
Cool.
Wonderful. You got anything else, Alex?
No.
Well, appreciate your time, Ryan. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Thanks for showing up. I'm sure if y'all got questions for Ryan or follow-up questions on anything we talked about, drop them in the comments. Maybe we'll make Ryan sit down and answer some comments. Maybe.
I don't know. If they're nice, if they're all mean, I don't have time for that kind of negativity.
Oh, no, it was great chatting with you, Ryan. We appreciate it. And again, thanks to everybody for listening and watching the show. We appreciate you as well. And we're going to wrap things up. So just enjoy yourselves, have some fun, go catch some fish. And until next week, live real life.